Okay. Doing things compulsively can really keep you stagnant in life. A lot of times when you're doing things compulsively, you're doing them without thinking, you're doing them without realizing you're doing it. It's just a thing you do. It's usually a thing to cope. So maybe you're thinking of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Well, that's what I would think because, I study psychology. uh, People with obsessive compulsive disorder or obsessive compulsive tendencies tend to have sort of magical thinking. They think if I do this thing, it will fix, it will prevent something bad from happening because they have so much anxiety about the uncertainty in the world. People like this, I say they're really tapped into what's actually happening in the world because the world is chaos. And at any given moment, you could die. You really could. If you thought about that all the time, because the possibility is real all the time, you could die at any time. If you thought about that all the time, that's when you get disorder because you're not able to live the rest of your life if you're doing things, with OCD tendencies, disorder sorts of things. You're thinking about it all the time. We're not supposed to be living in anxiety all the time. So other forms of compulsivity, compulsions, it's the doing. You're actually doing something. It's not just the thoughts you're having. Think addiction. And there's so many different forms of addiction. There's food addiction. I feel like doing a video on that. But healthy eating. There's food addictions. There's drug addictions. There's sex addictions. I know sex addictions are not really. The research shows that the mind doesn't get as addicted as it does to drugs. But what Eckhart Tolle would say, if you want to do something or you want to stop doing something, there's something you like doing, but you've decided maybe I should take a break, maybe I should stop, and it's hard for you to do it. You find yourself being pulled back to doing it. That's when you know you have an addiction because it's like you can't even help it. I also add laughing. Some people laugh compulsively to help them cope with whatever is happening in life. A lot of times people laugh at things that are sad, laugh when they're feeling angry, laugh when they're feeling nervous, and they don't even realize that they're like laughing all the time for things that are not funny. But it's one of the ways that they cope. Laughing compulsively doesn't hurt anybody. The only thing it does, if we're talking about hurting, is keep you from being aware of what it is that is triggering you to laugh, right? So we experience a trigger, a thought, an experience, somebody says something, does something, a thing happens, and we act, we do something, whatever that thing is that you're doing compulsively, that you're not helping, that you're not realizing you're doing, that you can't stop. That's usually one way of you coping with whatever it is that happened. Do you want to stop doing things compulsively? I would recommend that people take stock of what's happening in their life right now because some people text exes compulsively. Like you don't even, I used to text my ex compulsively. I used to feel lonely. I used to feel empty inside and was looking for someone outside of myself to do that. So I knew, man, this dude is no good for me. We don't work together. I shouldn't be contacting him. I can't help it. Couldn't help it. That's one thing that I was doing compulsively. It might be helpful to just check in about your life. What's happening exactly? Are you happy? Are things peaceful? Are you interacting well with the people in your life? Like, what is actually going on? Do you like your job? Are you happy to wake up in the morning? Are you having any difficulty going to sleep at night? Because that could be a sign that you're thinking about problems. People usually stay up thinking about problems, not about the wonderful things happening in their life. If you are not exactly happy, or you feel like, there's some things that I could work on or some things that I could tweak, maybe those are the things that you can pay attention to first to see if anything surrounding that you are doing anything compulsively. Because awareness is the hardest step. It's the first step, and it's actually the hardest to even recognize that you're doing something that's harmful to you, to even recognize that the way you're living your life right now, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to live in chaos. You don't have to be upset all the time. You don't have to have people calling you out your name, being mean to you. You don't have to have arguments with random strangers. Like, you don't have to have these experiences. you can live and interact with people in a different, more healthy way. When you realize that, it really has to be your personal choice. When you unless, life will give you consequences, such as the person who's addicted to drugs. Like, at some point, you're gonna hit rock bottom. You don't have to seek help at rock bottom. There's so many opportunities ahead of that to seek help. But everyone has to realize for themselves when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and enough is enough, and they want to do things differently. And so once you decide you want to do things differently, then you can start making changes in your life. One of the biggest ones is healing whatever caused the issue for you to be compulsive anyway. I would recommend a healer, because I have a healer, a therapist, a life coach. If they incorporate spirituality in it, fantastic. If they look at childhood, fantastic, because those are usually the areas where we experience some of the most hurt and need the most healing. You don't have to go back to childhood, right? You don't have to. You can just decide right now, okay, here's this one person that I'm always arguing with. What kind of changes can I make to make sure I am not in arguments with people? You can't control other people. The only thing you can control is yourself. And so you have to do your research, right? I know people don't like when they say do your research. What I want you to do is look up how to have healthy conversations with others, right? There's lots of videos on my channel about healthy communication. There's lots of videos on YouTube about healthy communication. So that's a place that you can start to look for information about how to get this thing done. Whatever the thing is, you can learn about it to interact with others, more healthily. We are social creatures. And I think one of the most important things that we can do is increase the healthy interactions with the people closest to us, right? Be the kindness to the people closest to you. Something else that you can practice is being present. Eckhart Tolle talks about this all the time, minding the gap, practicing meditation so that you can not think. You're practicing not thinking, being in the moment now, using your mind as a tool to help you do what you want to do and not being controlled by your mind with all the thoughts constantly running. You don't have to constantly be thinking. I think that once you examine the root causes of your compulsivity, that you will make changes in your life. Like naturally realizing and thinking differently, doing things differently will help you stop doing things compulsively. Right? So if you are compulsively eating and you realize that one of the reasons you eat is to, help you gain weight so that you can protect yourself from people watching you or be less desirable or something like that. Once you examine that thought and realize, hey, you can protect yourself in other ways, you can learn to trust people, you can learn to have healthy boundaries with other people, then you don't have to eat right. You won't be eating compulsively anymore once you heal like that thought and start having more healthy thoughts about yourself. One example, or for the person who's addicted to drugs, a lot of times something in their childhood kind of sparked that thing, and they are coping with this negative experience and they don't know what to do with it. Once they process that or let it go, right? The 12 steps for Alcoholics Anonymous includes letting go and giving it to God, right? There's a lot of spirituality in it, because how can you do it alone? Once you get to the point where you're addicted to something, it's very, very difficult to do it by yourself, because your body is doing things automatically at this point. You're using it to just sustain you, not even to not feel the thing anymore. You just can't even help it. So letting go, healing, these are ways to stop doing things compulsively. Then you can move into doing things intentionally, doing things with intention, right? So if you want to have a good time, you are going to, because that's your intention, you're going to have a good time. If you want to eat, you're going to eat with intention, which means you're not going to overeat. If you want to indulge in alcohol, if you're an alcoholic, probably not, but you won't do it compulsively. You're not going to binge drink. You're going to have 1 or 2 glasses and you'll be done. Right? So it's really about starting with the personal responsibility, understanding how to forgive yourself, right? All those things. I have a playlist on my channel here about how to feel better about yourself. Is that what it's called? Or how to enjoy your life? No, I think it's like how to feel better about yourself or something like that. Link in the description box, right? Because I like giving recommendations on how you can live a more fulfilling life. It's really possible, no matter where you are in life. Because Eckhart Tolle will tell you it's all about, perception. And suffering is wanting what is to be what it is not. So the more you practice acceptance of what your life is right now, the more you are going to enjoy peace right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, share this video with someone you think it may help, and thank you for watching.